down. Over to you now, Samuel. Yes, thank you very much, Gaius. It's so nice to be here this evening. Hello, and welcome to the edition 33 of Boiling Point Arena. And it's going to be a very interesting one. Just as Gaius has said, you definitely don't want to miss it. You should tell someone to listen to Boiling Points today. I'm Samuel Fatokwa. And as you know, Boiling Point Arena is a current affairs program and an interview interrogating issues of national importance, particularly in furtherance of good governance and nation building. We do this every second Sunday in every month at 8 p.m. And here we are tonight. Once again, welcome to everyone. Please stay with us as I introduce the one and only convener of the program in person of Dr. Ayo Arowojolu. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Samuel Plato. Well, this promises to be another scintillating edition. Don't forget, Boiling Point Arena is a Zoom interview for our global online followership with multiple media convergence. And as we speak, we are also live on radio across Lagos, Ogun, and Delta states. If you are within the catchment areas, please feel free to tune to Wash 94.9 FM, Sweet 107.1 FM, Roots 97.1 FM, Erimbe 94.7 FM, and Women Radio 91.7 FM. And the latest addition is on cable, NSTV on GoTV channel 216. Special thanks to all our media partners. Well, here we are tonight, and straight to the point. Edition 33 of Boiling Point Arena is bringing to the front burner issues around the new tax reforms under the topic, the new tax regime. Can taxation drive development? What is in it and what is not in it for Nigeria? Two fine gentlemen who are notable finance and development experts and credible authority in the matters of our economy are here to dissect the issues. And in a bit, I'll be going back to Samuel Fatoki to unveil our guests. Of course, don't let me forget to mention that our keynote speaker and chair of the discourse, the Olowu of Owu Kingdom, Oba Professor Sakate Milola, is unavoidably absent today, but he's here with us in the spirit, and we have somebody who is very capable, erudite, cerebral, traditional ruler, talking about the Olota of Ota land. Oba Professor Adeyemi Obalanlege. Well, let's move Fatoki.
Okay, thank you.
Unveil our guests.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, talking about the staff representing the king right there. And of course, this evening, we have some very important personalities with us, and talking about a guest, we will inform you about their profile, and of course what we're going to read out may not do justice to so much experience they've accrued over the years. Kicking off with our first guest right here in person of Dr. Paul Alaje. Dr. Paul Alaje is a highly accomplished economist, strategic advisor, and public intellectual with over 15 years of experience in delivering impactful economic solutions to governments, multinational corporations, and development institutions throughout Africa and beyond. He is renowned for his evidence-based approach to economic reforms, fiscal policy, and public finance in emerging and frontier markets. Dr. Alaje holds a PhD in finance and is currently pursuing a second doctorate in economics, focusing on advanced research in fiscal sustainability, monetary policy, and inclusive economic development. He serves as the chief economist and partner at SPM Professionals, one of Nigeria's premier economic and management consulting firms, where he spearheads national and regional policy engagements. They have significantly influenced budgetary frameworks, debt restructuring, and strategic reform initiatives. Please make welcome Dr. Paul Alache. Just before we move on to the other person we have right here, well, you should know that this person too is as experienced and has a whole lot of feathers to his cap too. Talking about Mr. Ugo Onoha. Mr. Ugo Onoha's name rings a bell, particularly in the media, and an authority when it comes to the matters of reporting, forecasting, writing, and analyzing business, finance, and the economy. Ugo Onoha is a communication professional, development expert, a thought leader, and a management consultant, among others. A 1985 graduate of mass communication at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, he was former managing director and editor-in-chief, Champion Newspapers Limited back then, those days. Ugo is also a 2006 graduate of Lagos Business School, Chief Executive Program. He is a prolific writer and columnist with a national newspaper. Please make welcome also Mr. Ugo Onoha. So nice to have you, this very gentleman, in the building.
By the way, let me especially welcome Oga Ugo. That was what we used to call him while we were Champion Newspapers. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I'm also welcoming Mr. Paul Alache, some form of jet lag, but hopefully I'm sure he's here. Let's briefly read the prologue on the new tax regime. Can taxation drive development? What is in it and what is not in it for Nigerians? We like to craft our topic by giving it a street value. We don't want it to be limited to, very academic stuff. We want something that the people on the street can relate to. Well, taxation is a familiar phenomenon in Nigeria. To any employer, employee, business owner, and even government. Taxation is a term used for when a taxing authority, usually a government, levies or imposes a financial obligation on its citizens or residents. Virtually every nation of the world utilizes tax to drive development through revenue generation. In other words, taxes count in civilized climes with tangible benefits to the citizenry. In Nigeria here, it is a different kettle of fish. This is the viewpoint of several pundits who claim that nothing imposed on the people as a form of revenue earned to the people counts. This shows in the decrepit state of infrastructure, such as roads, health facilities, markets, etc., etc. And we don't have to look far as to the argument whether taxes count in Nigeria or not. When we consider the issue of medical tourism, as our leaders across all tiers prefer to globetrot, spending scarce foreign exchange on health challenges in India, in France, in UK, in America, and the like. Well, the point being made here is that Nigeria's tax system is confronted with many issues and challenges, such as multiplicity of taxes, bad administration, corruption, non-availability of database, tax touting, and the complex nature of our tax laws. Added to this is the lopsidedness in revenue sharing. We can be likened to this common street language, monkey the walk, baboon the talk, with respect to the federation units that make up Nigeria. Really, to the credit of the President Bola Tinubu administration, some forms of reforms have been introduced into the tax system with a new tax regime in operation, courtesy of the tax reform bills recently signed into law. The pertinent question being raised by pundits now is, whether or not the whole tax reforms is just about raking in revenue into government coffers alone, and whether it is about development and the well-being of the Nigerian people, as well as the fixing of critical infrastructures. However, as we dissect all of these issues tonight, a disturbing news circulated in some newspapers earlier today, which had a screaming headline: Hunger. Federal government admits 161 million Nigerians not sure of their next meal. You didn't hear that. Hunger. Federal government admits 161 million Nigerians are not sure of their next meal. I didn't say so. A man called Nuhu Kilishi, the Director of Nutrition and Food Safety at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, said this at an event, and he painted a grand statistics that an estimated 161 million citizens, which represents about 74% of the entire population of Nigeria, are now food insecure. To the highly placed government official, the proportion of Nigerians facing moderate and severe food insecurity had more than doubled from 335% in 2014 to 74% today in 2025. To quote the government official, only about 20% of Nigerians are currently food secure, meaning they are certain of their next meal. That's about 20%. It's a quote and it's a credible report. The worry for Nigerians now is if 74% are not sure of their next meal, who and who exactly are the government bringing into the tax net? All these are before us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's on this note, let me invite our revered traditional ruler, the Olota of Ota, Oba Adeyemi Obalanlege, to make his very brief keynote remark to herald the discourse. Kabisi, Olota of Otaland.
Hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the topic, new tax regime. Can taxation drive development? What's in it and not in it for Nigerians? Well, this topic is timely, especially at this austere period where citizens are struggling. But when we talk about effectiveness of taxation in driving development, it depends on several factors. Most importantly, the design and implementation of tax policies. Again, the effectiveness of administration and the overall economic context. And it has to do with how taxation drives development. Number one, in terms of funding of public services, redistribution of wealth, challenges and consideration. Then we can talk about tax evasion and avoidance. And that is very, very common in Nigeria. Even the rich try to avoid paying tax. And with this, I think the I would be more interested in how we can tackle tax avoidance and evasion, especially from the rich. Honestly, one of the tools of taxation is to redistribute wealth. And you find out that in most cases, it is the rich that benefit from most tax policies in developing countries. So this time around, I want to see how the rich can be brought to justice for avoiding tax. So, gentlemen, I want you to focus more on how we can get the rich to pay their fair share of of tax, so that it will help us in driving development, and at the same time in the area of redistribution of wealth. Thank you.
Before we let you off, we were thinking it would have been good to see your face.
Okay.
Can we see a
All right.
face to the Olota
Okay.
of Oda?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, Kabiesio. Thank you very much.
My
You
pleasure.
were saying that the rich should be taxed more,
Oh, yeah.
but they say the rich also cry. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
When they say the rich also, but that's just by the way, Kabis. Thank you very much.
My
We
pleasure.
will go straight to the firing line. Can I acknowledge Dr. Paul Alaje? We cannot cite you really, whether you are using another Zoom. If you are there, please reach out through the chat box. But happily, Ugo Onoha is also here, live in the studio. By the way, it's been like 20 to 25 years that I have seen your face last. Well, let's get into it. The new tax reform laws signed by President Bola Tinubu recently is no doubt aimed at rejigging the economy. However, fiscal balance means nothing if human welfare is winning. Can we first attempt a review of the nation's economy, particularly in the last 2 years of the Tinubu administration? Thank you. Mr. Ugo.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Review of Nigeria's economy in the past 24 to 25 months or thereabout. That can be quite challenging. But the truth has to be said. By the time this government took office, that is the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria was, in a sense, in a dire stress. It was. Things were deteriorating fast. Oh, by the way, we're not supposed to talk ill of the dead because of the information this evening about the passage of our former president, Muhammadu Buhari. But this is not about him. This is about Nigeria's economy and Nigeria's well-being. It will be uncharitable for me to say that the deterioration of Nigeria's economy started under Buhari now. That would be wrong. The signs had been there all this while. The only challenge that I have is that under Buhari, it became worse. It was exacerbated. So President Tinubu inherited a challenging economy, no doubt. And he felt he had to take drastic actions to stem the tide and the deterioration. Some of the actions were good, no doubt. But in my personal assessment, I do not think that some of them were well thought out. Let me illustrate. It's been talked about over and over in the last 2 years or more. The announcement on the very first day he was inaugurated as president, quote, "So is gone." And there was no indication. In fact, to start with, that statement was made when actually there was no proper government in place. There was no cabinet. There were no agencies that could speak to such matters. And that was why, that phrase came in a void. When you want to take a drastic action like that, the expectation is that it would have been discussed and consultations would have been carried out involving a cross-section of Nigerians, especially those with them to be experts in that area. There was no evidence. And still, there's no evidence today that any such thing happened. Because petrol in particular, and petroleum products in general, they are at the heart of our economy. Indeed, derisively, some countries, I don't need to name names, describe Nigeria's economy as diesel economy. So our reliance on petroleum products to run our business was rather high. And any action taken in that regard, we have a deleterious effect, multiplying effect across board. And that was what happened. I can say that indeed, at the core of the problem we face today, in terms of inflation and some other things, it has to do with the sudden and precipitate removal of petrol subsidy in May 2023. And then soon after, the government went ahead to begin the process of merging the foreign exchange, the rate of the naira with other currencies. And the naira had to face massive devaluation. So when you combine the precipitated rise in the prices of petroleum products and the massive devaluation of the naira, all of them within 2 or 3 months of the start of this administration, then we should expect what we are facing today. And the government can say that the foreign exchange system has been stabilized. At what cost? At what rate? The government can also claim that they have brought stability to the petroleum products market. But at what cost? That is at the heart of the cost of living crisis that Nigerians are contending with. I wager also that it is at the heart of the deepening poverty in Nigeria, where, Doctor, when you introduced this program, you said, quoting a report that came out today by a government official, that 161 million Nigerians do not know where their next meal will come from.
I hope that government official will not be in problem. But he was putting statistics anyway.
It is not.
You read the report.
Doctor, it's not for us to worry about whether he'll get in trouble or not. Our own is to state the fact as presented by government. It's their own data. We didn't create it. We didn't manufacture it. It is their own. If tomorrow they say they don't want it again, they know what to do. And we also accept it because we now live in an environment where sometimes strange things happen. I hope we are not forgotten about the National Bureau of Statistics, about the data concerning kidnapping, abduction, and the ransom money that Nigerians were compelled to pay, and how suddenly the website of our MBAs was hacked and everything disappeared. And by the time you return, weeks later, those data were no longer to be found there. And it's interesting that today, NBS, as reported by one of the online newspapers, now no longer publish information or data on certain aspects of the economy. But back to base, the subsidy removal, if you allow me, I will say is so-called subsidy removal, because the first thing that the government should have done, in my own assessment, is to find out what is at the root of the corruption in that sector. We are Nigerians, some of us are adults, we know the stories and the reports about people importing in quotes, shipload of petroleum products, shipload. And then it turns out that not even a liter of petrol came into the country. And they apply for payment, they apply for subsidy payment, and the government pays them. Those are part of the subsidy that government parrots. That is the problem with that. But those things are phantom, they don't exist. We also know, in fact, at the time, one of the leaders in the oil industry, I think it was Chevron then, some 2 or 3 years ago, who said that what was going on in the Niger Delta was industrial scale theft of crude oil. These are issues. These are issues of corruption. They were not tackled, and then the government went for the area of least resistance, inflicting tax, pain on ordinary Nigerians. So that's where we are today. That's where I'm struggling with. I want to be optimistic that things will get better soon, like those in government. But the prognosis tell me otherwise. Poverty is likely to deepen. People will die, if you want to say it the way it is. People will die.
Let's just say
I live in this country. I don't go to anywhere. I interact with the rural areas. I just came back, from the east barely a week ago, and it's not good. The extent of poverty, especially in the rural area, I think either the World Bank or whoever said it's in excess of 70%. These are issues, and the government is trying, but I liken the situation in Nigeria today to somebody setting fire in a house and then turning around to be the firefighter. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I was going to take you when you trace the root cause of some of the problems that have been exacerbated through the fuel subsidy. In your own thinking, you said that's not how to run a government. That's the influence. The subsidy is gone mantra. But I knew that. I read in the papers then that even President Tinubu acknowledged a week after his inauguration, I think it was in Kenya, and the media asked him, why did you just say subsidy is gone? And he was the one that now ventured out to say, and the thing was not in my speech. I didn't plan it, but it just came through a spirit. That's, by the way, let me let you bring us into it. Tax reforms. What is your understanding of what government is trying to do?
Yeah, Doctor, permit me to start by telling the story. It's a recent story, so everybody who breast of our events, can identify with it. The tax reform bills that are now tax reform laws, because they've been signed into law by the president early this month. That document will turn out to be like the one big, beautiful bill. I'm making reference to the United States. President Trump's money bill that also passed recently in the US Congress. Let me explain why I said it might turn out to be like that document. In the one big, beautiful bill, according to them, according to the promoters, it turns out, after the act, that some members of Congress including Republicans who championed it, who backed their president. They don't know the details of the contents of the bill. That in fact, after they passed it and sent to the White House for assent, and it was assented to, some of them began to have buyer's remorse. When certain provisions in that bill were pointed out to them, including the areas that took away some of the benefits that should go to the vulnerable in the society. Why am I saying so about the two documents, having to be experienced about the same way? It's been said, I don't know who said it, but it's been said that when you want to hide something from a black man, probably from a Nigerian, put it inside a book. I don't know how many pages you have in the combined books of the reformed tax laws, but I can wager that majority of Nigerians, literate people, even those who are players in that sector, do not know the contents of the bill, even as we speak. Even yours sincerely cannot claim to have read the bill comprehensively. I'm only aware of snippets of it here and there. The other day, we read in media that from January 1, 2026, when the new tax laws will come into play, every transaction in the bank in excess of 5 million naira will have to be reported to the relevant government agency by the Money Deposit Bank involved. I'm aware that not many Nigerians are aware that this is inside the bill, that is part of it. There are more things that we'll discover as we go along. And those things could be an issue that we need to contend with. But generally speaking, the reform of our tax laws were overdue. So to that extent, we must give credit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team for their dedication, for their doggedness, in spite of the pushback by some segments of Nigerian society, by some regions of this country, against the bill. They stood their ground, accepted some amendments, and then ensured that the thing passed. So there must be credit given to that team and to the president. Our laws, especially tax laws, have become so. I can't remember, even as an adult, the last time such comprehensive undertaking was done concerning our tax laws. So to that extent, it's a good thing. What are the expectations? What are the issues concerning tax law? One, just to summarize, the aim is to modernize our tax system, which had become archaic, cumbersome, and a disincentive to investors. Simplify compliance by individuals and corporate bodies, and improve revenue generation. And that's it. Given what I know about our government, that this last point may just be the primary moving reason for the reform of tax laws, just to increase the takings by government from the rest of us. So what are the key points? Tax exemption. I find one of the provisions rather curious, if not troubling. What do I mean? Tax exemption. They say individuals earning below 800,000 naira per annum will be exempt from January 1, 2026 from paying personal income tax. except in the informal sector, except in corporations, where they are not required to pay the minimum wage. I do not think that this will apply to anybody. I do not think that this exemption in particular will apply to anybody. So let's take up our calculators and see how it goes. The minimum wage today is 70,000 naira, even though there is speculation that some state government are not even paying that minimum wage yet. But let's take that they're paying it. 70,000 naira a month times 12. We give you more than 800,000 naira per annum. More than 800,000 naira per annum. So who is this going to apply to? And I dare say also that there is no or minimum wage. The 70,000, when you add the necessary consequential adjustment, many people will move beyond that threshold. So if nobody actually is receiving 70,000 naira, the servant, the messenger in one government agency or whatever, parastatal or ministry or stuff like that, if nobody's receiving 70,000 naira per month as minimum wage, then who will enjoy this exemption of not paying personal income tax? Nobody, virtually. Number two, I read somewhere that the new tax laws will also create exemption for those who have lost their jobs. I tried hard, but I couldn't wrap my head around how that will be implemented, how that will be affected. I don't know whether it means that people who lost their jobs will have a safety net from government. Then you have to talk about businesses, business tax reform, small business. They said that companies with an annual turnover of 100 million naira or less and fixed asset not exceeding 250 million naira are exempt from all taxes. That's a good one. That's an incentive to small businesses. So we expect them to enjoy that one. But see how government works.
Sorry, Ogagu. I would. I know you. If I allow you, these 2 hours will not be enough. I want you to be able to pause and maybe take some water.
I will.
And I can cite Samuel. Samuel has been itching to ask questions, but I have an information.
Okay.
Dr. Paul Alaje is already here. He's done a great sacrifice. He moved from UK. He was in transit to Dubai, and I think he landed about 8 o'clock. And the immigration formalities and whatever. But he's there. Let's see. Can you unmute Dr. Paul Alaje? And let's see if we can throw the same question, and then just surrender it all to Fatoku. Hello, Dr. Paul Alaje.
Yeah, thank you so very much, sir. It's still evening here from Dubai. I want to say thank you so very much for having me. Actually, I am just finding my way to my destination. I decided to sit at the airport so that we can have this conversation. Important conversation in our national history, talking about tax reform. Many people would remember that I played very active role as the voice for the people and those that are downtrodden regarding having a tax reform that is truly reflective of the situation of the people. So a quick one that we can take out from the tax reform and quite a number of fantastic things that the reform has brought to the fore and areas where we need to improve. I think if time permit me, I will talk on them. It's first good that we are departing from the colonial tax policy that
Dr.
was
Paul,
given
sir.
to us.
Hello. Hello, Dr. Paul. Oh, we lost it. Hello, Dr. Paul. The Zoom is muted. Can you unmute him?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dr. Paul.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I want to request that if it is possible, can we see a face to Dr. Paul Alaje as we move on? And
So
it will interest
I'm in
us.
the arrival. I'm in the arrival.
okay.
Or it might not be
That's
convenient where I am.
That's all right.
So that is
that's
why I
good.
have to put off so that I
All
can
right,
talk
then.
to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Please go on.
So as I
Thank you.
was saying, a number of things that are very good with the tax reform. First of all, I would tell some of the advocacy we had. This tax reform was supposed to increase VAT to 10%. We spoke that VAT will induce inflation, and we made our presentation to the national. Thankfully, the president signed a tax bill to law that has 7.5% VAT. What that means is that VAT is not increased in Nigeria. Another good thing is that corporate tax has technically reduced to 25% for some kind of class of businesses, unlike 30% that was the major requirement. This can also give investors who wants to come to the country some confidence to come in. The third one, which was very controversial at the time, was how will VAT be shared? A number of persons in the committee, in fact, the committee position was that about 60% should go to states with where the consumption, high consuming states such as Lagos and Port Harcourt. As good as that sounds, but as someone who has worked with some less developed states, it's important to know that when we have a federation, application of such policy must be in phases. We cannot just jump from 30% to 60% or 20% to 60%, as the case may be. It will show how insensitive we are and the neglect we have. And that may not really form the collective effort and unity we are trying to promote as a nation. Our recommendation is that that should be increased gradually, maybe in the next 5 years or 10 years, so that those in the north, those in the south that are not as strong as Lagos and Rivers, and those perhaps in the west that are not as strong as Lagos and Rivers can have and start looking for major and alternative revenue windows as share increases. Fantastic thing federal government did, reduce its own share of VAT from 15% to 10%, increase that VAT share to the states, which I also think that it's a good news for the states. The question for those that are listening and those that will listen in future is that our states must now be accountable. On what are you spending the 55% VAT that comes to you, as federal government has left its own component that states can now have it. Now, it's going to be practically impossible for those who wants to deliberately evade tax. Yeah, in law you can avoid, but you cannot evade taxes, especially when there are laws that help you to do that. But if you want to evade taxes now, for some businesses, for small businesses, I don't want to repeat what the other guests have spoken about. Fantastic presentation he made about 800,000 for those who are earning 800,000 and below. In the real sense, that amount my account is properly done. Now, when the chairman said household, a controversy out there is that household is he a person? In economics, household is assumed to be more than one person, at least father and mother that are earning. Now, when you talk about payee is different from personal income tax. That may also directly affect personal income tax, that is, homes with small businesses, home with business owners. So personal income tax is different from where people are paid salaries on every month basis and they are part of payee system. Another thing which I think this is also good is that if you are a taxpayer in Abuja or in Akure or in Lagos or in Port Harcourt, and you want to have assets, perhaps in a state like Ogun or in a state like Sokoto, the tax authority in Sokoto will say, go and bring your tax clearance. If you present that of Abuja, Then they said, no, they're not recognizing it. You have to go and pay another tax. With this, and I hope that is what is being said, because I asked the question and on different platforms. What the committee said, that with this unification, they can look at the dashboard and see that truly you have paid your taxes in Abuja. And once the taxes is what should be paid, there is no need for such person to pay extra taxes. Now, the devil is in the details. Whether this will be implemented or not is a different conversation entirely. Area of concentration and area of other interest is number one. The need, this tax system solely rely on ICT competencies, and this will affect state and local governments majorly because of competence and deployment of the same. Whether they are able to do that, well, I doubt. Two, by 1st of January, it is expected that this tax reform will start taking shape. As far as I know, the level of education among those that we pay, medium scale businesses and large businesses might have done well with large businesses and those who follow the news. But we need to now start looking at some plugins that people will need to have when they want to make invoices. So it becomes very easy for government to trace how much is it that is in the platform. By that, I mean that there's a massive rollout of information and communication regarding the taxes. And I think many more. But before I stop, so that I allow moderator and other guests to speak, I must say my condolences to President Muhammadu Buhari's family as he passed out today. And I saw it when I was on flight. I pray that as Nigeria grows through the morning, God will heal our land, and God will guide us right and give us leaders that will lead us in the right path. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Amen to that. And of course, well, my question, I would like to kick off this particular way. The Yorubas would say that Tomode ba ṣubú, agbọnranù, adìde, a máa lọ ibi tó ń lọ. I'll interpret it. Ba ṣubú, adìde, a wẹ̀yìn wò. Kí ló gbé mi ṣubú? Now, the interpretation is this. When a child falls, he or she is going to stand up and focus on where he or she is going and just keep moving. But when an adult falls, he's going to stand up and look back. What obstructed my movement? What made me to fall? Looking at this and putting the tax reform in perspective as we look back, as we review the past years, a critical question coming to my mind is, are solutions, are they not bringing us more problems than actually solving the situation at hand? Looking at quite a number of, things preferred. We've talked about tax reform right now. And I mean, according to what our guests have said, right there and then, we can pick some lacunas already. And my question is, are we not creating more problems than actually creating solutions? I don't know who wants to go first. Anyone can go first.
let Dr. go first. Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul.
Dr. Paul.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I must say that yes, there are some kind of loopholes in these tax reforms, but I can also say that unlike the time that we have, like I said, when the process was going on, I have given it up about 70%. It's better to give it 70% than to do nothing. It's not a perfect bill, but it's an improvement on what we had before, and that is why I left it like that. Area of concerns, I believe that it's not the final. Remember that during President Buhari, two tax reform bills were passed, and he would sign them into acts of the parliament, two of them, and it's an improvement. So yes, there might be some concerns with this tax reform, especially as it has to do with the methodology of the implementation, because it's quite huge and it's largely ambitious. And I'm hoping that we will get it right. I strongly believe that we can get it right because, but if it's not properly done, honestly, when you look at the amount of money we spent in putting this piece of legislation together, in providing awareness, is a lot. And I want to strongly believe that this, among other things, are the things that government wants to do to achieve certain results.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, let me just, before I, let's rest you for a while. I can recall that this will be your third clap on this program. Immediately after the subsidy removal, we had you. And when we were going to review Tinubunomics at about 1 year after, we also had you. But it is time to maybe ask you to just review the last 2 years. If we had not taken the subsidy is gone route, would Nigeria have been better off? If we had not taken the floating of the Naira route at the time we did, would our economy have fared better? Dr. Paul. Okay, I think he's already muted. Can we have him unmuted? And we can.
Okay, yeah, thank you so very
Also-
much. Sorry, I was muted. Clearly speaking, I made some very critical presentation about subsidy remove and also regarding exchange rate flotation now with tax reform policy. I have given several countries that have implemented this policy. See, more than half of African countries, and I mean more than 50% of all African countries, have devalued all their currency. Show me anyone that has developed as a result of currency devaluation. Why do we go the way of currency devaluation? This is not the first time. In 1993,
No.
we did 1983, we did the same thing.
It's
Are you there? Can you hear me, sir?
85.
Hello,
Sure,
sir.
you.
sure,
Can you hear
loud
me?
and clear. Loud
In
and
1983,
clear.
that we did the same thing under what is it called? Babangida, President Babangida, just after President, military president, and just after head of state that passed on today left office. Tell me, development, what changed in our economy? See, in physical economics, see, all these theories were things I read, were things I wrote on, were the things I wrote on. They're not invest. The question is, what kind of investors do countries that devalue susceptible to devaluation attract? It's portfolio investor. If there's any shock, we are back to Egypt. We are back to where we are coming from. And that is why I'm saying that the actions taken by government might not be reversible now. But what we can do is that as we have devalued the currency, let our budget capex for the 36 and the FCT as well as federal government to be 70% minimum on capital expenditure, which is capex, and the recurrent to be 30%. That is almost the exact opposite of what we are doing today. That is when people can reap dividend of democracy. Look at Abuja. A lot of development, construction sites, multiple construction going up at the same time. Look at Lagos, also putting up rail and all those. I have been to quite a number of states, virtually almost all the states. And I can tell you that less than 10 of the states are really going fully into infrastructure. The intention of leaders that devalue currency, and not just in Nigeria, the rest of Africa, more than half of African countries that implemented the policy, was that when this is done, the new monies will be invested back into the economy. The question is, was that done? Are we feeling the impact the way it should? Are they investing as much as we should? Another thing is that when you devalue your currency, it is expected that your diaspora will send their money home. Diaspora will send their money home, and such money will become more when it gets home. They can reinvest in things like real estate. They can also give money back in form of family support. But when you go abroad, you see that there is global economic concerns. Even to get this same job abroad is becoming a lot of issues. We have heard about sanctions placed on Nigeria and 3 other countries by President Trump. We have also seen a number of countries that have reservations about the Nigerian immigrants. That does not mean that Nigeria is wrong. And also, Europe, what is lacking is, do we identify in Nigeria? What is the story? What do we want to resonate in the mind of people when we say this is a Nigerian? If not, we will just be prawns in the hand of those that colonize us. We will be prawns in the hands of their, what do we call it now? In the hands of their financial institution. They will put, they will force us to take some decision we might not take. You saw the Minister for Foreign Affairs saying that there is no place for some immigrant, what do we call it now, deportees to come to Nigeria. How will such thought even come to a mind of a country regarding another country? You know why it will come? Because when you are largely exposed and you cannot protect yourself, policies will be pushed on you. Now, look at the country I am. For the past 20 years, or 18 years, like I remember, 18 or 15 years, this country has not lost one naira in its exchange rate. What did they do? Are they that perfect? Are their economy the same all the while that they have not lost? What UK economy? Anytime pound sterling falls, it always finds its way back to status quo. Why is it that we devalue, we could not go back to status quo? These are real questions we must have. See, I can tell you economic theories that is sweet and even use Lagrangian to confuse people, tell you my divide dx, show you curves, make it presentable. But what I cannot change, what I cannot affect is that hunger is real. Poverty is real. We are reading the numbers. And look at subsidy was also removed. Subsidy actually in itself serves as cushion effect to the poor. But when we say that we should allow people to compete, have you checked how much America gave out on cotton farms as subsidy? So countries must understand we need to protect the vulnerable. And that is why when we exempted the poor from tax reform, it was a welcome development for me. So making VAT to remain the same across board is also a welcome development for me. So if we say that if you have not, will exchange rate has become 1,600? The question you ask have obvious answer. We never devalue to 1,600? Or do you think that fuel prices will get to 900 naira? And these are things that resonate with the people. So do we have options? Options that are available might be to improve and stop oil theft, might be to find investments to come into our reserve. These are things that can be done. However, the decision has been done and we cannot cry over spray mill. What we need to do now is to have consistent checks on the volume of investment that is going to our capital economy, our capital life, for us to have a great nation. Eventually, I can't also confirm that we seem to have had stability in that exchange rate now at about 1,500, 1,006. Both at parallel market and official rate, even though there is no 100% convergence, but convergence has largely gone beyond 85% of the new reality. Because what this question tends to tell me that I should forget what happened before 2023. I should look at 2023 till date. So if I'm comparing from 2023 till date, I will tell you that the economy has balanced. But once I move outside 2023 to 2022, then of course you know what the answer is. The economy then is far better than what he's saying today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paul Alagi. I don't know about anybody else. From the passion with which you talk economics, you make me want to go and study economics. It's never too late. Just like Saugono Hatu. Before we come back to Fatokun, I want to ask you, I asked him whether his views have changed, but he reinforced his views. And he said, it looks like some things can never be reversed. I now want to find out whether you concur with that perspective and whether you think there is no, the Yoruba say, let me just say, when you are going forward and you meet a brick wall, then you go back. What do you think? Is the whole thing irreversible to the point of 2023? Dr. Paul Alagi has said, we look beyond that one now. Whatever happened before, and we move on. I don't know whether there's a convergence in that place, whether there's a consensus. Thank you.
Okay, let me start by going back to the earlier question posed by our colleague here. I will also talk about an adage from my own neck of the woods. Because we say that you don't avoid going to war because people will die. So what it means in effect is that there must be issues with every policy. At the beginning, I alluded to the fuel subsidies gone, that it was wrong-headed. It wasn't well thought out. Safety nets were not provided. And that was the Achilles heel.
But there were
of that,
palliatives.
Of that policy. Palliatives, they were afterthoughts.
Okay.
They were afterthoughts, and they were insignificant. And they weren't even well coordinated to start with. So it was as if there was nothing. But having said so, regarding your question, Doctor, I am not in a hurry to be absolute about anything. But I'm minded to align with Dr. Paul that some of the policy decisions and implementations cannot be completely reversed. To reverse them would mean, for instance, going back to a liter of petrol at a price of 200, 250 at the pump head, or an exchange rate of between 400 and 500 naira to $1. I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. That would be difficult. So I am minded to align with Dr. Paul that we cannot go back to that era. So what we have to do, as he pointed out, which we are not doing right away, is that we should be a lot more prudent in the investment of the proceeds of the so-called savings from the removal of subsidy and from the devaluation of the naira. I must say, and sadly too, that to me, I do not see evidence of prudence, whether at the national level or at the sub-national level, by those who are in charge of our Commonwealth. I do not see it. There are things they do. You begin to wonder, are these people really sensitive? Are they conscious of the state of the people they are leading? And just last week or so, there was a report that many states are even borrowing more from banks in spite of increased allocation to them on account of the removal of petrol subsidy. And then of the sisters of Nigeria and FCT, how many of them are doing things that you can see? How many of them are investing massively in education? How many of them are investing in road infrastructure to match the level of income that you're receiving since May 2023? Maybe about 10 of the, okay, let me be generous, make it 15 of the 36 states. And that's a failure. That's not a pass mark. Okay. So where is the money going to? It is not different, even at the federal level. Now, can you tell me why, for instance, the FCT was removed from adherence to TSA, Treasury Single Account? Why should it be? When you make exceptions to a law, it will lead to abuse and corruption. And that should not be. It should apply to everybody. So the point to note is that, no, we're not going back to where we're coming from. But as I said at the beginning, what I see is depressing. It's not encouraging. I don't see us getting out of this mess in the next 10 years. And I'm not the one saying it. I am not the one saying it. The man who said it is the World Bank man. He told us that we must persist in this punishing economic regime for the next 10 to 15 years to begin to see light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm not making up issues. And we must listen to such people because we are implementing their program, even without formally adopting their prescriptions. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono. So nice to have those thoughts from you. And moving on to the doctor right about now. Yes, we've been able to identify some lacunas, some challenges. And one thing I'd like to ask, so that these things don't escalate into full-grown challenges that are out of hand, for the tax reform, which aspects do you think should be improved on? There have been, quite a number of points raised talking about the people that are going to be exempted from paying taxes, which is looking like it's not feasible. Looking at the practicality of it. Which other aspects do we really need to adjust? I'd like to come to the doctor on this one.
Dr. Paul Alage.
Yes, Dr.
Okay. Dr. Alage.
I guess his
Hello?
mic is muted.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes,
no, my
you're
mic
on.
is not muted.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you
You
so
are
very
on.
much again. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Very well.
Hello? Yes.
Very,
So I
very
said
well.
thank you so very much once again. So first of all, I think for the newly passed tax reform, it's going to largely anchor on tech, on what we call ICT in Nigeria. And to a large extent, I think with that area, we need to really, really, really work on it so that we don't start wondering what is happening at the time. The intention for tax reform, like I said, is very, very good. It is very, very important. And it's important that we also look for revenue, tax revenue. Government is looking at having 18% tax to GDP from current 10% tax to GDP. So the point is, if we don't improve in that particular regard, I am sorry, we might not exactly achieve the much needed results or expectation that we hope we get from the tax reform. So speaking to your question, you said which area should we improve in the tax reform? So now it is expected that the VAT will still increase. And I'm saying that before we make any attempt on VAT increase, it's important that we allow the economy to settle, because if don't, I am sorry, we might still see very high inflation in the coming. And if we don't, I mean, if we do, then that we have a number of negative implications, and it might be counterproductive. It might be counterproductive to what government envisage in Nigeria. So I only hope that authorities will do the needful regarding that. Because if it is not done, I am sorry, that may not be it. I also think that our target more will not be to increase any form of taxes. Even in the near future, it should be to expand and to widen tax brackets. One area which I think we need to consider is that even small businesses that are exempted, they need to file their taxes on daily basis. I mean, on monthly basis. So to my mind, these are very small businesses that many of them may not even have additional one hand, and that might not be savvy. And that is why the place of education, because it is not more a suggestion, it is not a law. The only way to counter a law is to go back and formulate a law or go to court. Now that is a law, how we talk about it, we have to be extremely speak about it with a lot of caution. If you don't speak about it with a lot of caution, he might be speaking against the law of our land. So for me, I think that maybe subsequent period, we need to look for a way for small businesses that have been exempted by the law. I think below 50 million naira turnover or so, we need to look at, for those of them who are perhaps they have business registered, but they are not really doing as much as they do. Maybe people that have small grocery stores and small, extremely small businesses that is required to file. Yeah, filing is good, but when you look at some businesses that don't have the, and it's even online filing. So it's important we do that. Three is that we have passed this law and that we should bring together all manner of taxes. But I'm saying that, are we saying from 1st of January 2026, those who will lay vehicles on the road, they will no longer be there? And if they are there, what will be the process? How do we eliminate them? For those who will lay who will later, what do we call them, trucks and all of those things, what will be the strategy? From now, we should put that in the public domain for promoters to know, and those who are doing this to also know. Local governments still hold very strongly that there are some of their revenues that have not been affected. So in this revenue that has not been affected, how do we do it? So, I mean, fourthly, this tax law, or as a, how do we call it now, has set aside any form of direct payment for taxes or charges. It has set them aside. It has to be electronically paid. I am wondering those that I've seen in very remote areas that are not even banked, those that wants to pay that are not even banked, or they want to pay one charge or the other, because I want to assume, I want to believe that this extends to all form of charges and remittances. How will they do it? So it's important we scale up on our ICT capacity as a nation, especially to local government in the remote areas who wants to collect charges, because without collection from the people and businesses, it will be practically impossible for government to run. And to run and to collect it, we cannot also act against the law. And perhaps that is why Mr. President feels that to prepare the ground, let's wait from that June till 1st of January. The question is, how much of the work is going on? Are we just holding it at federal government? Remember that now we are no longer going to have FRS. We're now going to have NRS. So it's going to be Nigeria Revenue Service, which affects. So the law made, I want to believe, to affect all levels of government, from federal to state to local government. Again, issue of increments in any form of charges should not be hit for now, especially VAT. I don't think it should be hit because of the kind of economy that we have. We need to slow down on that particular area to allow the economy rebound before we can consider if there should be any increase whatsoever. These are few ones that I want to mention.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I come to Mr. Ugo on this, I know you would like to, respond to the question. I want you to also add this to it, please. We've talked about the parts that needs to be improved on. Can we also talk about some parts? Of course, we know we are not tampering with what has already been, done, but we are just giving suggestions. Are there parts that should be eliminated out of this the tax reform? Are there parts you think, okay, this part should actually be cut out? Aside the recommendations you are going to give, please, let's have you.
Fine. Let me start with your last question.
Okay.
There are parts I think should be cut off for now. If we desire to reflate the economy, we must put money in the hands of people, of individuals, and of corporations. We must not put the excess fund, excess in quotes, in the hands of government. Government at various levels in our country have demonstrated that they're not prudent in managing the Commonwealth. And in these tax laws, there's a provision for increase in taxation of capital gains. What's a capital gain? Is the money you make in excess of the original cost of investment in shares, in stocks, in bonds, in real estate investment, and some other areas. I think the rate was moved from about 15% to about 30%. I'm not too sure, but there was an increase that I'm sure of. No, I think it should be rested.
Mhm.
That excess money should not be in the hands of any government at whatever level, whether local government, state, or federal. Number two, there's a provision in the tax laws for development levy. I think it's 4%. Yeah, something in that region, 4% of tax on the profits of companies, minus the small scale companies anyway.
Mm.
But I think for now, that aspect should be suspended, should be rested. If we want the economy to thrive, if we want to encourage economic activities, we must put money in the pockets of citizens and the pockets of corporations, not in the hands of government. I can't say it loud enough. Not in the hands of government. Our governments are usually, I'm sorry if the word appears very harsh, reckless, financially reckless. What they do every year is to budget over and over for new SUVs. As they say, they tell us they're buying SUVs, because sport utility vehicles, let me put it properly, because our roads are bad. Can you imagine that kind of insult, that kind of disregard for Nigerians, that they prefer not even SUVs, they also prefer imported SUVs, not made in Nigeria SUVs. Why should that be? So the summary of it is that any provision in tax law that will put more money in the hands of government should be suspended and put in the hands of citizens and the hands of corporations, so that we can begin to see how much effort we can make to reflect the economy, to begin to battle. There is a danger. There's a danger. Poverty is staring us in the face. It is not by accident that Nigeria has remained the poverty capital of the world since 2019. And there's no evidence that we're about to exit it after we inherited it from India. And it shows in our lives. It shows in everything that we do.
Okay. Well, I'm coming back to you on the issue of recklessness. But let me give an information. In about 10 minutes or so.
Don't quote me about recklessness.
In about 10 minutes or so, we would, be going to the floor for interactions. And Fatuku is going to read out the phone lines, the studio number to call. But before then, Mr. Wono had talked about more money should be in the hands of people. Every time I look at our declining Zoom participation, I know many people that I do not spot here, but they will accost me tomorrow and say, I say, hey, we didn't see you in Zoom. And they will say, they listened via the radio. More money should be in the hands of people. The purchasing power of the money that is available. For example, in the last 3-4 months, issue of data has become an issue. So when I asked people, I didn't see the bulk of people on Zoom here now. They are the global community. Maybe somebody is in Canada, some are in Europe, some are, they said they prefer the radio because of the declining, the purchasing power. I have a professor friend. He was almost weeping. He called me and said, well, they pay close to 800, 700 and something thousand. A professor at Bar. But that his tax alone is 150,000 naira. I don't know what it will be when the new tax regime comes in. It was not so before. And it tells me before they remove all the stuffs there, it comes back to 500,000. Almost close to weeping, and said that 500,000, his vehicle and that of his wife is already granted since last year. So if you say you are earning more money, but what is eating those money or what the money can buy is nothing, then I'm afraid people are daily trooping into the poverty bracket. Now, let me ask you, what can this government really do? The last time we were here, last month, we were talking about the oil sector reforms. And I remember there was a question about our refineries. All the three guests really parried the question. Did that refinery work? That Port Harcourt refinery, the Warri refinery. Recall that Baba Obasanjo said, that Port Harcourt refinery will not drop 1 barrel per day. He was people about
Okay, let me start from where you started. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, told us a story some time ago. I don't know how many of you will recall it. He said they had a friend who used to use big vehicles, I think he said a limousine kind of this US stuff. And they had two of them at the time. But now, because of the current economic situation, the man had abandoned all those limousines and then resorted to using a Honda saloon car. So if we had the president say such a thing, my understanding is that the president is telling us to begin to be realistic about where we belong to in the current economic ladder. But having said so, you mentioned the issue of data and stuff like that. Data is not a priority for most of the people in Nigeria today. Their priority is food on the table, not data. So,
but we need to be correct.
Yeah, you need to be correct, but you need to afford it. Given a choice between investing your 10 naira on food and buying data, which one will you do? Most of you as a family man with children, and you also have school fees to pay. You have to clothe your children and your wife. It makes other provisions. You have rent to pay. Even if you live in your own house, you have utility bills to pay. So what's your priority? To buy data or to pay all those bills? So that's the point that we have to take to heart as our situation right now. On the refinery issue, that was a scandal. That was a scandal. That was a scandal. They claim that $18 billion had been invested in their turnaround maintenance over time. I don't believe those who are saying so. I do not believe them. Yes, maybe part of the money may have gone into turnaround maintenance, but a bulk of it has gone into people's private pockets. Stealing, because when we want to decorate certain ways, we say corruption. No.
Somebody said
stealing.
Stealing is not corruption. Don't forget.
I remember very well. But this is brazen stealing. $18 billion. I don't know whether the calculator you have there can even calculate it into naira. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And my concern sometimes is that it appears that those in government take the rest of us, the folks, other folks, as idiots. People who don't know anything. They come and tell us stories about what's going on. Now, the latest thing is that NFC say probably they will need to scrap and sell the refineries. What an impudence! What an impudence! So okay, we move on. But as I said at the beginning, the prognosis is not looking good.
Okay,
poverty is likely to deepen. And we should be prayerful. That's Nigerian style. Things we can do for ourselves, we begin to pray. I'm not discounting prayer. It's very important. I'm a man of faith. But let us pray hard that it doesn't get to a situation where, as the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo said, the children of the poor will not become MNS, if they're not already, to the children of the rich. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ugo Onoha. Of course, quite a number of points raised right there. But do we have some hands raised on the Zoom platform?
Yeah, pass the information now.
Okay, just
Zoom.
in case you want to ask a question on Zoom, you can kindly signify by raising your hand. And of course, for the phone lines, we are live. You can call in to contribute your thoughts by calling us on 090-60992609.
I think
yes,
you are too fast.
I'll probably call it again, all right? I can see Mr. Algo doing why. All right, 090-60992609 or 070-41007949. Those are the two lines you can call. I'll call them again. 090-60992609 or 070-41007949. Alternatively, you can text us on WhatsApp via 091-58494949. You can also signify by raising up your hands on the Zoom.
Okay, let's pick this call. Hello.
Good morning, sir, doctor.
Oh, good morning. From where? Okay.
My name is Yemi. I'm calling from Owe.
Okay, you have the call.
Yes, I thank you this evening. So I really appreciate the Polalaji and the Gochuku and then my good brother, Mr. Samuel. Thank you for this issue. Now, let me just come as a layman. I don't want to come as an academician. So when you're talking academicians, you can talk from SY to the core. But the area I'm going to the area of a layman is we can talk in English tomorrow. The fact we are talking about, there is no secret in the nation. Security in the nation will not be able to make advancement against sacrifice. The issue of the religion, whereby government in themselves are the ones that sending some people to Jerusalem and even to the Hajj. So we read some newspaper last week that they are even preparing for 2026 Hajj. You could be able to take all these things away from the hands of government. You could be able to treat with 2 eyes closed. In fact, any form of reform is going to help us. But when we are talking example, we will need to talk it to that extent. I'm listening, sir.
Thank you very much. We have another call. Hello. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to Boiling Point Arena.
Thank you very much, sir. This is Dr. Kayode Olumide from Abeokuta.
Welcome.
Good evening, sir. Happy Sunday to our guests in the house. The way I want to see reform in tax law is that we are in the early days of Caesar, when Jesus told his disciples that they must give to Caesar what is Caesar and what belongs to God as well. And I believe in tax payment that will be useful to all and sundry in areas that will improve the economy of a state or a nation like Nigeria. But if we look at it from more, the way banks destroy the people in terms of multiple taxation, we will be amazed. I mean, we're not selling, bringing any good to the people, keeping their look at the way charges like transfer fee, this and that, but stamp duty, those ones are good. But look at numerous frivolous charges, aside message transfer or whatever. I mean, a lot of charges that they do. How will this government be able to help us to stop this if they are going the whole world to be able to make sure that this tax transform is achievable or through them? Now, again, I want to probably end here. You see, sincerely speaking, we need to do some export. We need to see in areas of agri, whereby our leaders now begin to look at it that we need to get out of it all sorts of this insecurity here and there. Be able to terminate insecurity where our good hands, gifts that God has given to us in terms of area of farming are killed like fowls. Look at what happened in Benue. You can just imagine that. Where will you get enough money from those people that are there? When you are saying you want to reform, to do some.
Thank you very much,
something like that.
Dr. Olonode.
I think we need to tell all our government to order. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Olonode.
Okay.
We have messages?
Yes, we have quite a number of messages right here. And of course, just in case you want to send us your message on WhatsApp, you can send it to 091-5849-4949. We'll get back to the phone lines shortly, but we'd like to acknowledge quite a number of questions right here. Messages right here. Dr. Ayedon Shego Isaiah is right here, sending a special greetings to the analyst for the brilliant submissions. Okay, there's a question here saying, do you think this present administration is getting it right with the way he announced the removal of subsidy during his inauguration speech, May 29th, 2023? Then another one is saying, is the removal of subsidy the solution, or running after those who are behind the looting of the treasury of the nation? Another one, do you think the tax law will be effective with the level of corruption we have found ourselves in this country? What advice do you have for this present administration in reshaping the economy of Nigeria for the betterment of the common Nigerians? I think that's all we have right here, but I probably feel we should get back to the phone lines.
But let's have all hands via Zoom. We'll come back to you in Zoom in a moment. Okay. Please help me call the WhatsApp number again. Okay. Somebody wants it.
Okay, the WhatsApp number is 091-5849-4949. And for the phone lines, 090-6099-2609 or 07041-007949.
Okay, we have a call. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
You're on to Boiling Point Arena. What's your name?
Rosemary.
Can you speak a little louder? Rosemary.
Rosemary, I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Okay.
This issue of government giving for everything, I just see that, as the other man said, that let's give what belongs to Caesar, because these governments are not doing well at all.
No, that's your opinion, by the way. Okay, but please go on. Oh, we lost the call. Yes. Okay.
Yes, you can still do all to call us by calling the phone lines 090-60-99-2609 or 070-4100-7949. And our WhatsApp line is still the same, 091-5849-4949.
Okay, let's do we have a call? Let's go to Zoom now. We'll be taking George Emenike. His hands has been raised for a while. Can you unmute him? George Emenike, can we?
Thank you so much. Am I on the line?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Greetings to the presenters there, and I want to thank you for the great presentations that you have made thus far. My question would be that one of the essences of tax drive is to about investments, and with the insecurity that we have on the land, insecurity of life and property, difficult to move safely here and there. With that, would it not be delusional to expect purpose in that direction? That's number one. Number two, is that what's the assurance of investors, even local ones, investing in states, with particular reference to Lagos, Kano, and some other states in the north, even in Port Harcourt? What's the assurance that even local investors, that their investment are safe with when you have a political difference, you become a target. So with the state governments. So what is the position of government, or what can government do to give assurance to even local investors to be able to invest? And it's only when investors come in that taxes can be paid and revenue will be realized. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a call? Let's go. Hello.
Hello, Doctor.
Who do we have?
Sorry, sir. Take 30 seconds. Please, Dr. Olonode.
Okay, 30 seconds, you said.
Yes, good. See, I want to hear in the first particular woman that referred us back to Syria situation. I think we look at it from more now. You see that the authority, I mean, mostly now, our leader, all the money we gathered from this tax we are talking about, they always wonder, take it and then loot it and then go and hide it somewhere in foreign countries. And yet, our roads are too bad. Look at this, what our guest told us about now. I know about you find sketch. And then they are telling us that it's because of the roads that are bad. Can't we now produce another form of way by which we can collect taxes? I mean, if you look for money for their government, rather than look to the issue of taxation or taxes, rather. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time. Remember, the chair of the session, Kabesi Olota, but I will have to close the session. But we have to have responses to the issue. Do we still have a call coming? Borrowing from Canada is raising his hand, but he said he preferred to call. But which one are you doing now? Borrowing.
Should we call the phone lines? Probably 090.
He wants to call on WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Okay, but if he cannot, you can unmute Borrowing now, or if we can have that one, let's unmute Chikwe Edozie very quickly. We just have about 15 minutes to round up, even 12 minutes. Whichever one, please unmute Borrowing or Chikwe Edozie. Borrowing, you should use the Zoom here. There's a problem with the connection. Please unmute Borrowing. Let our engineers do that, either of the two, Borrowing or Chikwe Edozie. Okay, you are on.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Okay, I was just trying to call on WhatsApp too. I don't know. Anyway, I just have a quick question. I just have one question. I noticed the level of discord that was generated during the debate for the enactment of the bill. So the question is, in terms of taking all the variables into consideration, what should be our focus in terms of factors to be considered in implementation of policy in our country? Is it political, economic? Because I know that during the course of the debate, before the enactment of the bill, there were issues of political consideration, economic considerations, social factors, and things like that. Which one should be our priority for us to be able to implement policy and move ahead so that we can achieve economic stability and national growth? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's quickly go to Chikwe Edozie, then we go back to our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Chikwe Dozium. I'm calling presently from US, but I'm a Nigerian anyway, and I'm very concerned about.
That's very important. That's very important.
You see, one thing I give it to the guys who are putting on this very tax reform. It's very good, very thoughtful of them. And I commend the effort to at least to get it to this point. But I just have a question. I'm worried that some loopholes exist in methodology of implementation or administration of the new tax law, just like you have in anything that is new, given the endemic nature of corruption in our dear country. You know, one thing I have failed to get a clear understanding is how will the expected increase in government take be realized during collection? Will the reformed FIRS be the guys that will be picking up this money directly, or personal interest driven? Please note what I'm saying. Or will personal driven agencies be used on behalf of the government? Because typically we tend to do this in our country. It's corruption.
You've made your point, sir.
So,
you've made your point. Thank you very much.
Appears to be silent in this area.
For reason of time consideration, thank you. I'm sure the guests have noted your. Thank you. Okay. Let me start with Dr. Paul Alaje. Dr. Alaje, are you there? Just attempt to wrap up.
Summarize.
Yes. If it's not ready, yes, to Mr. Gono. Thank you.
Okay. Very briefly, to summarize. For individuals, how many people are we looking to tax? I ask this question advisedly because we have just been told that 161 million Nigerians are not sure where their next meal will come from. And that should be over 70% of the population of our country. If you're not sure of where your next meal will come from, it means that you are not even employed at all, nor gainfully engaged in anything meaningful. So who are we looking to tax?
But it's possible that even I, as an employee, still don't know what to eat tomorrow.
You are a lot more privileged than the people that are referring to here. You are privileged. You are here in the studio with all the ICT tools, working, optimally. Those people don't know this kind of environment.
Thanks to Watch FM.
So the point, and then as said by this last speaker, if the idea is to rely on tax consultants for collection, then we are going back to square one. Then our money will go to nowhere that is useful. Some persons also raise the issue of frivolous investment. Like, as I said at the beginning, I'm a man of faith, but I do not accept a situation where we invest the Commonwealth in sponsoring people to either Jerusalem or to Mecca. It just does not make sense. In an environment where education is yearning for investment, our health has not moved from what General Abacha said it was 30 years ago, mere consulting clinics. You can think about. So we should begin to prioritize what we need to do. And that was why I said, if we want to grow the economy, if we want to reflect the economy, the money from the tax drive should not go into the hands of government. Government has shown us over the years that they are incapable of investing our money in productive ventures. And a situation where majority of Nigerians are unemployed. Oh, by the way, the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, said unemployment rate in Nigeria is 5%. I struggle to wrap my head around it. They say it's according to the measuring metrics, in line with the International Labour Organization and stuff like that. So we have 5% unemployment. And then we have 161 million people not knowing where that this will come from. 2 years ago, we had over 130 million people that were said to be dimensionally poor. Multidimensionally poor. So these are challenges we face as a nation. But we should not lose hope. We should not lose hope. We should continue to call people out who are not serving our interest. We should continue to speak up. It is our country. And I believe in the saying that, the most important office in the land is the office of the citizen. People will laugh at it. People will mock. But that is the truth. Until we begin to take our fate in our hand, people in leadership position will continue to behave as it pleases them.
Thank you very much. You are almost preaching there. Let's go back to Dr. Paul Alaji for his own wrap-up before the Olota of Ota we close this session. Dr. Paul Alaji, well, it's...
okay, thank you, sir. I've been waiting for them to meet me. Fantastic presentation. I must thank you and your colleague in the studio. I must thank all the listeners, those that spoke within Nigeria and abroad. It's really an engaging conversation. I'm also thank my co-panelists for insightful comments that he has made. Here is what I would say. I will answer maybe one or two of the questions. Then I will give my final thoughts. The question regarding who we collect. I think this tax law abolishes anybody called consultants to collect money. From 1st of January, money has to go to the covers of the National Revenue Service directly. Whatever agreement has made regarding commission will be paid. That source to whoever they have, except if new modalities will come out again in the near future. That is what the tax, the law is as of today's. Implementation should be coming up subsequently. And I must say that I've used different platforms to commend good work that we have put into tax law. I've commended some of the good works that we have put into it. And I'm happy that this is happening when Nigeria is looking at what is going on in Kenya. What went on in Kenya as a result of tax policy. And I think that that really guided us to become people-centric and to become people-focused. I will say this. We need to start measuring the level of patriotism of Nigerians. And I mean the government, those in